Well, Grandpa didn't have deployments like your dad had. Our first base was Vance in Oklahoma. But he was an instructor, so he was gone on student trips, which were usually gone for a few days at a time. But he would have alternating schedules as far as being, whether he was teaching at night or teaching in the daytime. So his hours were weird. But he was home a lot during those first few years. His trips away were only a few days at a time, not long deployments like your dad had. But then he had a year assignment remote to Thailand, where it was not a flying job. He was on a radar scope. And so during that time, the military moved us back to Spokane, and so that was hard because he was gone for a whole year. He was home on leave at Christmas time, but he was gone for a year. That was hard because there was no email, no Skype, none of that stuff. We would send little audio tapes back and forth. First we started writing letters, and that wasn't very satisfactory, so we started making little cassette tapes. And we would make at least one a week, sometimes more often, and then you could hear the kids' voices. But it would take maybe 2 weeks before it would get to him. So I'd ask some question, it'd be a month later before I might get the answer back to whatever. And he did have a Super 8 camera with him, and so he would send us little films once in a while. But boy, we waited for the mailman, and sometimes those tapes would be backed up and 5 would come at once, you know, and so I would sit down, I want to listen to all of them right now, but when they came that way to him, he would space them out so that he could enjoy it longer. But that was our communication, was cassette tapes that were a week or two old with whatever was on them. So that was a challenging year. We had 5 children then, and Mark was just a baby. And that was a challenge. Well, you were here when Grandpa died. You were in what? How old were you?
16.
You were in high school. That was totally unexpected. He was 63 years old. He was in the Temple presidency, and he was the youngest by 10 or 15 years of the other men in the presidency, who both had heart conditions. And so everybody was shocked when Grandpa died, and we still don't know for sure what it was that took him. But that was a hard time because it was so unexpected, and it just changed my life completely, and everything was on hold, kind of. I just felt like the world stopped. I didn't care what went on in the news. I didn't want to read the newspaper. I didn't care what went on outside my house for about 6 weeks, I think, before I became a halfway normal person again. But probably the most significant piece of advice anybody gave me at that time was President Wells, who told me I needed to write my memoirs. He said, you need to write about your life and about your life with Grandpa, so that not only would it be therapy for me, but it would help the grandchildren who were never going to know him to know him. But stories about him, about us, about our family life, the things I learned from him, traditions that he began in our family. And so when I have a friend, if their spouse passes away, that's kind of the advice I give everybody. Write your stories, write a journal. Especially if you have little grandchildren that aren't going to know, won't have memories of him. Write so that they can have memories. So, yeah, coping with the death of your sweetheart when you have plans that go on for a lot of years is difficult. But there again, faith in Heavenly Father's plan, and knowing that I'll see him again, and be with him and feel like our marriage is forever. We'll still be married when we're together again. And we believe families are eternal. That helps you get through the sad moments.